Awesome. Yeah. So this is Alan Emery. I'm a senior systems engineer for Aruba Networks here in Denver, Colorado. Thanks everybody for joining. So I've been with Aruba for over 10 years, going on 11 now. So have definitely seen the change in our world in terms of access. 11 years ago, wireless was a convenience factor. As long as we had a AP sitting somewhere in a conference room, everybody was happy. Security didn't exist. It was basically pre-shared key, connect, best effort. If it goes down, you've got your desktop, right? So that has changed. Fast forward 11 years, wireless is the primary connection media for everybody. Wireless is the number one access and number one priority for pretty much any school district, education, customer, enterprise, even my own kids. If the wireless, if I'm playing around with the wireless network in the house, the kids get mad. So the second issue with that, however, is network management and network security. How do we make sure that we have the right people on the network, we're doing the right thing for our users, and our users are all happy? Oh, there we go. It looks like, let's go back one. There we go. Can we go back to, for some reason, maybe it's taken a second. There we go. So Aruba Networks, we joined forces with HP Enterprise about a year ago. The CEO of HP came to us and said, hey, would you guys be interested in running our networking division? We said, how much? She said, how's $3 billion sound? We said, sounds great, and we get to still be in charge? Sounds like a good deal to us. So essentially, Aruba Networks is running the HP networking division of HP Enterprise. So our CEO, Dominic Orr, is the general business manager for HP Aruba, as well as our founder, Kirti Melkoti, is the CTO for this business unit. So we're pretty excited where we're at in the marketplace. We are only one of two leaders. A lot of companies are disappearing rather quickly in this marketplace. So our product line basically encompasses wireless, edge distribution wired networks, as well as core wired networking infrastructures, policy management, network access control, mobile engagement. So think of mobile engagement as Levi Stadium, for example. They use our mobile engagement solution called Meridian for fan engagement, fan location tracking, ordering. You've probably seen the Visa commercial just recently where somebody's sitting in their seat at Levi Stadium ordering 5 hot dogs.
Sorry, I'm on a webinar right now. I'll silence this as well.
That's, oh, somebody have a question? Oh, I guess not.
Aaron, could you mute your line?
Very good. So, and then as well as network management products. So that's kind of where our product line comes into play. So we've got a complete top to bottom switching portfolio, as well as we have a complete top to bottom switching portfolio.
Calendar invite for Wednesday the 30th, same time, same place.
24, 48 port, 8 port. Switching products, as well as all the way up to our core infrastructure. Sorry, we're getting some background noise. I think somebody might be off mute.
We went ahead and took care of that. Go ahead, Alan.
All right, excellent. Thank you. So, as far as the switching infrastructure goes, Very feature-rich switching product line. Since Aruba took over the product development of the HP switching product line, we've added over 40 features into the new product line in less than a year. We're also coming out with many new products at a much higher rate to accommodate the security requirements that we're seeing in the wired infrastructure, as well as integrating the wired and the wireless infrastructures all in a single end-to-end product portfolio with the focus on mobility. So that's something that's very unique in the marketplace as well, is that because we've got complete control over the wired, wireless, security, access management all under a single umbrella, we have a very laser focus now on delivering end-to-end switching, wireless management, and security in a single infrastructure. So we're pretty excited about this. It's got to move here. There we go. So our product, from a wireless LAN perspective, brings some serious flexibility to it. So we have two product lines from a mobility wireless access perspective. We have a controllerless product, which is essentially a wireless LAN product that works in a cluster-based environment without the need for expensive controllers, centralized controllers, yearly support on these controllers. No cloud. It's not the magical cloud that we talk about or we hear people talk about. This is a fully self-contained, simple, highly resilient, enterprise-grade wireless LAN. Some of the biggest networks in the world run off our controllerless product. For the networks that require a controller-based product, a controller-based product would be in more of along the lines of maybe a large university campus where all their VLANs, all their layer 3 infrastructure collapse into a single location. The biggest difference between a controllerless and a controller-based infrastructure is where your VLANs are at. That's the biggest difference. Same hardware, same platform, same chipset, same radios, same look and feel, same software across the entire product line. It's just a matter of where do you put your VLANs. So that gives us a great deal of flexibility in the marketplace today. So from an access point perspective, Aruba was the first product on the market with a 4x4x4 802.11ac Wave 2 access point. That's our 300 series product line. Our 300 series product line is Wave 2. Our 200 series product is Wave 1. We've got a complete outdoor access point solution as well as wall jack access points. You know, you can take a wall jack, put an access point on it, and now you have wireless and wired access in an existing cable infrastructure. So that's pretty flexible as well. But just know that we have a complete top-to-bottom Wave 1 and Wave 2 access point solution. You're going to start seeing pretty much everything we sell here over the next 3 months. All of our solutions that we are developing for our customers are Wave 2 moving forward. And that's just where the market's going. Same price, same price for our customers between Wave 1 and Wave 2, so we're not we're not charging a premium for having this new technology. You may see from some companies, hey, Wave 1's really cheap, but Wave 2, holy cow, double the price. We haven't done that. Same price, 2 to 6 times the performance, depending on the access point. So as you can see from the product line, we've got a great deal of flexibility in our product line as well, anywhere from a 3x3x3 access point to a 4x4x4 with smart rate. Now, one of the big shifts in the wired infrastructure and where we're seeing the most interest in the wired infrastructure world is smart rate. And smart rate is the capability of running 1, 2.5, or 5 gig on the same Ethernet cable. So you get a smart rate compatible switch or a smart rate switch from Aruba Networks HPE. You'll have the capability of running 5 gig on a single Cat5 Ethernet port. So pretty flexible and very fast. We have an amazing management platform called Airwave. Airwave's been around for a long time. Airwave's been a shipping product for 10 years now. We have a lot of Cisco customers running Airwave today to manage their Cisco infrastructures. We have a lot of legacy HP customers running Airwave to manage their HP wireless products, as well as this manages wired networks. Cisco, Aruba, it manages the wireless networks all in a single pane of glass, plus it gives you complete visibility into every user. I can tell you where the user's been, where they've gone, what applications they've used, their signal strength, the access points they're on, the device type, the operating system that they're running, and any issues that they're having on the wireless LAN for up to 2 years. So this gives us complete visibility from end to end in the wired and wireless infrastructures. So as I said, complete end-to-end visibility, RF visualization, historical analysis, troubleshooting, monitoring of DHCP, DNS, radius, performance on the network. So that's what we call Airwave. Now, if you're interested in cloud-based management, some people have requirements to move their management platforms into the cloud. Some people have they prefer a cloud-based management solution. Let's say I've got 100 remote sites. This was Advanced Auto Parts, for example, uses this to manage their all 3,000 of their stores nationwide. Is that they ship 2 access points out to every store. They dial back home to a centralized management platform sitting out in the cloud, and they can manage all 3,000 stores from a cloud-based management platform anywhere in the world. So this also plays into the E-rate piece in terms of subscription. So some software platforms are not E-rateable unless they're a subscription-based, and you have to reapply for that every year. This allows us to meet that requirement for subscription-based management. Moving into the access management piece of this. So access management is a very important piece of the puzzle here. A lot of people, dump off the wireless or install the wired, and that's kind of where it ends, right? So we want to look at how do we manage the access of the devices to the network? How do we automate onboarding? How do we get devices onto the network? How do we limit the resources devices can access based off from who you are? How do I make sure the device has the latest antivirus and the latest anti-malware software running on it? How can I tell the difference between a student, faculty, guest if they're all connecting to the same network? How do I support a BYOD for students or faculty? So ClearPass is an access management solution. It's software. It sits on a server or in VM, and it does a lot of things. It ties into all of your back-end authentication sources, Active Directory, SQL, LDAP, Open Directory, you name it, Google Console. We can tie into MDM like AirWatch or MobileIron or ZenPrize for network access. The Google Console gives us the ability to look inside of the Google Console and say, is this a district-owned device? Is this a personal device? Great. Now, what are we going to do with it? We want to profile devices that are coming onto the network. Bob plugs in a printer, and we have a rule that says, if you're a printer, go to this VLAN, here's your security policy, blah, blah, blah. We can write a rule that says, if Sally plugs in an Apple TV or connects an Apple TV to the network, we want Sally to register it. Internet of Things. Internet of Things could be thermostats, refrigerators, coffee makers, you name it. We have the ability to profile it and give it access rights on the network. We can do BYOD management, network access control. This has a built-in TACACS, built-in radius server, a complete guest access solution, sponsored access, self-registered access, advertising, content push, based off from where you're at, who you are from a guest access perspective. So ClearPass is a very powerful access management solution. So this allows us to do things like guest onboarding of mobile devices, for BYOD, as well as posture and health assessment. So what does ClearPass give us? ClearPass gives us visibility into your network. Devices. What type of devices? What operating system? Where are these devices at? How do I troubleshoot an authentication failure? Everybody wants to go to 802.1x for authentication, but once that breaks down or people start having troubles, how do I really troubleshoot that? In a normal radius world, you get a radius failure code, you have to look it up on Google. They all are the same. A radius 200 error versus a radius 500 error, it's all failure, right? It doesn't give a lot of information. ClearPass keeps track of the entire conversation for the authentication, the EAP start, the handshakes, where it failed, why it failed. So, for example, Joe can call the help desk and say, I can't get access to the network. You type in Joe's name into ClearPass, it brings up his user, his devices. You click on the devices that failed and go through the radius troubleshooting logs, and it'll say, Joe failed because he's using the wrong EAP type. We're expecting EAP PEEP and he's using EAP TLS, or Joe failed because he had the wrong password. Joe failed because his user account was locked in Active Directory. Those are type of troubleshooting features that we really love about this ClearPass. Now, ClearPass also gives us the ability to do onboarding of student devices, registering student devices. So a lot of my customers, my partners, what they're doing is they're using ClearPass to register student devices. So I'm Sally, I bring my iPhone in, I want access to the network. Great, you connect, you have to register. Put your username and password. Here's the information we're going to collect. We're going to collect your username, the device type, what type of user you are. I'm a student, I'm whatever. And then we're going to impose a policy on the network. So Sally can connect to the same network as maybe Mrs. Smith. But because Mrs. Smith is a teacher, we can give her different rights and privileges on the network through security policies. So this is some pretty powerful stuff for onboarding or getting devices onto the network. This also allows us to limit who gets to see Apple TVs, printers, projectors, things along that line. DLNA-enabled universal plug-and-play devices like Chromecast. I want only Bob to see this Chromecast, but Jim, sitting right next to him on the same access point, can't see that Chromecast. So that's some pretty powerful stuff. So ClearPass has a very rich policy enforcement engine built into it that you can pretty much assign policies based off from a plethora of information. ClearPass also ties into back-end systems. Firewalls. We've got relationships with Palo Alto, Checkpoint, Juniper, Fortinet. What does that mean? We can send information to these devices, to these perimeter firewall devices about who is the user, what type of device it is. Here's his user ID, MAC address, IP address. Tie all that together. Now when you go to the PAN, the Palo Alto, and say, hey, I need to filter based off from user group or Active Directory user group or user type, we pass that information to Palo Alto. Palo Alto can say, that's a student, here is the filtering profile on that device. Oh, you're a faculty? here is your filtering profile. So we're getting away from this whole I've got to have a specific IP address or a specific source address to do filtering. We can do per user, per device, per group filtering. On the converse of that, these devices can send information to us. Hey, Jimmy, he just hacked the Pentagon, or he's got malware, or he's got a virus, or he's pinging every device on the internet. Could you take Jimmy and stick him into a quarantine VLAN, bump him off the network? He's done for the day. Those are some of the really cool things ClearPass can do. We also tie into Splunk, the event loggers, MDM products, as well as switching infrastructure. So it gives us the ability to enforce these policies between the wired and the wireless LAN basically with a single policy. So whether you're on the wireless or on the wired, you get the same profile, the same policy. So this is pretty cool. So like I said, we've got this Ingress event engine that allows us to pull in information and do stuff with it based off from changes in the user's behavior as far as being able to move them to different roles, different policies, different VLANs. So that's a very powerful piece of this as well. I just mentioned the Ingress threat detection. We also have a complete network discovery and profiling tool built in here that allows us to define what type of devices are coming into your network and what to do with them. The biggest problem we have is with these Internet of Things. So if I wanted to say, hey, all GE refrigerators that are Internet enabled, I want them to go into this VLAN and have this security policy. All right, I'm going to build that, and every time somebody plugs a GE refrigerator into the wired or connects them to the wireless network, they get the same profile, and we have complete visibility into what's on that network. So, like I said, it works for multi-vendor wired infrastructures, HP, Cisco. I've got Juniper customers. I've got Brocade customers, which is now Broadcom, I guess. As well as a host of other switching infrastructures, and we also work with a lot of wireless LAN vendors. We support over 150 different vendors on the market right now. That's built in. You can also say you have an oddball vendor that you need to add to ClearPass. You can totally do that as well from an access management solution. So that's pretty much all I have. I could probably go on for a couple of days on Aruba Networks and our solutions and products and features, but we're certainly happy to follow up anytime.
Thank you, Alan. I appreciate the time, and thank you for the overview. It was great to kind of get into some of the details of the products and how Aruba Networks has put them together. It seems like a pretty comprehensive solution. For anyone on the webinar, if you have questions about the Aruba product line, or you're interested in kind of getting together with someone who can help put together the right solution for your institution, I'd recommend you call Summit Partners. The number is here on the screen. They're a very responsive group. They're very interested in helping folks with their HPE and Aruba Networks solution design, so I would very highly recommend them as your first point of contact. Alan, we do have a couple minutes left, and a couple questions did come through.
Sure.
I think you touched on this, but I think just need some clarification. In terms of the product line you presented this way, how does that relate to E-rate? Are all the products eligible, or is that something that someone would need to follow up with separately on the E-rate eligible list?
Correct. Yeah, pretty much everything is E-rateable from the switching wireless LAN perspective. We can do some subscription-based services for the software products like ClearPass and Airwave in order to meet that E-rateable requirements. So a lot of those things, for yearly maintenance and yearly subscription, you have to, basically, from what I understand, put back in for that every year. But yeah, all the hardware, absolutely E-ratable. We are on many different government contracts. The WISCA, the NASBO. I don't know if WISCA even is still the used vehicle anymore. But yeah, we carry our entire product line on on all the state contracts, and pretty much everything is E-ratable. And like I said, even on the software side, where if it's a subscription base, we can still E-rate most of that stuff.
Excellent, thank you. And again, just a reminder to the folks on the session, if you have a question for Alan, go ahead and type it into the questions box in the session panel. There should be a little box that says questions. You can type them right in there, and we'll make sure Alan gets them. Alan, we have another question here, and I don't know if there's a universal answer to this or not. But the question is, do you recommend cloud management for education? I assume that means education institutions.
Sure. Yeah, I think it depends on the size and the scope of the network. So I'm not seeing it a whole lot out there. There's, like I said, there's probably a couple of companies that are touting cloud management. It just depends really on the architecture. So, there's cloud-based controllers out there. There's cloud-based management that is dependent. Your network's dependent on these. I think you really need to look at if I lose my internet connection, or if I stop paying my yearly support contract, or if I don't get E-rate next year for this cloud management, what happens? Can I no longer manage my infrastructure? Does my infrastructure go down? Do I have 100 paperweights hanging on my ceiling? So a lot of my customers and partners, they prefer to have on-premise network management, only because it's it's a lot more reliable. It's there; they can touch it. They aren't paying a yearly subscription fee for that, and if they decide, or if it doesn't go away, it's always there. So that's kind of the mindset that most of my customers are taking right now versus these cloud-based controller, cloud-based management solutions that are out there. Is absolutely, we have some customers running our cloud-based management. The beautiful part about our Aruba Central, which is our cloud-based management, is if you don't want it, your network still works. They're completely separate. So we have complete flexibility to move the management of your entire infrastructure back into the access points themselves, into an on-prem network management called Airwave, or keep it out in the cloud called Central. But that cloud could catch on fire, and your entire infrastructure is still up and running 24/7, complete manageability, visibility, monitoring, everything. So I think it really just comes down to how much stuff do you want to go out into the cloud, who's running your cloud, and is it how important is it to have that cloud up 24/7? So that's kind of how we're looking at it. But I would say 90% or plus of my customers are using on-prem network management, or the network management built into the products themselves, and kind of foregoing the cloud, just because it's yearly costs kind of add up over the years. So that's kind of what I'm seeing.
Got it. Thank you very much. Well, we've reached the end of our allotted time today. I appreciate the time that everyone has spent to join us. Again, I want to thank Summit Partners for hosting this session and for bringing together our experts. I want to thank Alan Emery for his overview on the Aruba Network product line, and Juan Rodriguez for giving us an overview of the changes to the E-rate program and how you can solicit funding as an education institution for some of these products we've talked about. We will be doing some follow-up. We'll get you some information, provide the decks that we had today. We'll be making accessible a recording of the webinar so you can share it with any other stakeholders in your group that may need it. Summit partners will likely be following up as well to find out if they can be of help in your projects or any infrastructure needs that you have. Again, thank you everyone for your time today, and that will do it. We'll wrap it up, and we expect to follow up with you over the next week or so. Thank you. Thanks again, everybody, and thanks to our panelists for the webinar today.
Thanks, folks. Have a great week.